Hi, I'm Father Mark Garrett. This is your most frequently asked questions about confession. Okay. First question. Why do I have to confess my sins to a priest? The easy answer to this question is that we're human beings. We are both have a soul and we both have a body. And so we need that mercy. We receive that mercy and that grace from God. But we also, like any child, needs to have their mom comfort them. We need to be comforted by someone. Someone needs to tell us in a very personal way, your sins are forgiven. And so we very much go to a priest because we need that sacramental forgiveness. Now, that's also true because Christ gave that ability to forgive to his apostles. And his apostles give it to us priests. They have passed it down. It's the apostolic nature of our church. Have given it to us, and so now we are able to dispense that mercy to you. And like a father and like a mother comforts a child, so a priest comforts the penitent. Okay, second question. How do I prepare for confession? Well, one of the nice things about our diocese is that the lines are usually pretty long. So you have plenty of time, even if you don't prepare before you show up, to prepare in the line. And secondarily, you can always find good sheets online on your phone or simply in the pews maybe. You'll have little how to prepare for confession. Going through the 10 Commandments, always a good start. Going through things like the Beatitudes, always a good start. But also we can just break the commandments down to simply 2 questions. You can go for the first 3 and say, how is my relationship with God? How is it right now? Am I praying? Am I not praying? Am I going to Mass? Am I not going to Mass? And then we can ask ourselves, how is our relationship with others for the next 7? And go kind of look through those relationships. And then I would ask you to do something that you might not think you should do. Write it down. Even if you have to put it on your phone, write it down in the notes sections and go ahead and just say, this is what I have so far, Father. That's fine. It shows you prepared. I'm always happy when someone walks in and has a list on their phone because it shows they put the time in. Our third question, how do I begin my confession? Now, you can begin the confession very simply by just saying, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, bless me, Father, for I have sinned, and then tell us kind of like how long it's been since your last confession. If you can't remember, that's fine. Just say something like, I think it's been over a year, or I think it's been over 5 years, or I think it's been less than a year, or I think it's been less than a month. Wherever you feel that time range might be, it doesn't have to be dead-on specific. At the same time, it's always helpful if you say something like, bless me, Father, I have sinned. It's been 1 year since my last confession. I'm married. Okay, great. That sets a stage for like who you are without giving us too information about your exact name or your last name or who your partner is or all of those things. But it tells us, okay, this person, they're married, and when they talk about their family life, it's different than just, say, a child talking about their family life, right? They are the parent. And so they have a different relationship. It also might even change the way we ask you to do your penance. We might ask you to pray for your family or pray for your child or pray for your marriage. All of those things matter. So telling a really quick description of like, Father, this is my kind of standing in life. I'm married or I'm single or I'm engaged to be married or I'm dating someone in a very real way. All tells us the kind of like, it shapes the confession for us and shapes the confession maybe even for yourself. Our fourth one, how much do I need to share? So I'm going to go with the extreme of the don't share everything first. And here's what I mean by that. Don't tell us a story. Please, please. Stories always mean one thing. They mean you're probably trying to give yourself an excuse for something. And what I mean by that is that when we start telling a story with our sins, what we're trying to tell Father or tell even ourselves maybe is, Father, this is what happened that led me to this sin. Well, that's good for you to know. You should know that. But what happens when we tell that story sometimes is we feel less contrite. We feel like we're not really responsible then for the sin we committed. And so when you're leaning into how much should I share, the question is, how much is necessary to be contrite, right? And that's the question we should be asking ourselves. So when we walk into confessional and say, Father, I need you to let you know why I lied to my husband about this thing. Okay, I understand you might want to tell me that story, but what I need to know is, do you feel sorry for lying to your husband? Do you feel sorry for lying to your wife? Do you feel sorry for yelling at your kids? Do you feel sorry for not following what your mom and dad told you to do? That's what's necessary, right? And so let's do what's necessary. Let's not try to overshare, because we can easily, therefore, not really feel culpable and therefore not really feel contrite for what we've done. And then number 5, which we're having some difficulty. There we go. Number 5, what is an act of contrition? An act of contrition is the prayer we say right after the priest has given you penance, right? There's several versions of the act of contrition. Sometimes you'll see them posted in the actual confessional, kind of a little English and Spanish versions for you to be able to say. Sometimes you can ask the priest, if you don't have one memorized, Father, can I repeat after you? Sometimes I'll ask the penitent that question, would you like to just repeat after me instead? At the same time, you can always bring one in on your phone, just like I said earlier. Some people will actually write out all of their sins on their phone, and then at the very end, they'll give their act of contrition right there at the bottom, and they'll just do that. But the act of contrition is simply that prayer that reminds us that we are sorry for what we've done, and that we are saying that sorry in a very prayerful way to God before receiving that absolution.
Do you want to throw it to me?
Sure.
No, kind of like.
What do you mean?
Kind of make it theatrical?
I'm not really a theatrical guy. All right, our next set of questions. Do I need to confess before receiving the Eucharist? So a lot of people will tell you yes, and I agree. You do need to confess. We need to regularly confess before receiving the Eucharist. At the same time, say you went to confession on Saturday, and now it's Sunday morning, and you maybe snapped at your children, right? That's not a sin that would rise to the height of saying, don't go receive the Eucharist, right? So we need to be very careful, and you need to know your own conscience on this. Like, you need to decide for yourself in your own conscience, have I gone to confession in such a way that I feel that there's nothing heavy weighing on me to go and receive the Eucharist right now? Because the Eucharist, it does remediate some sins for us in the midst of the Mass. We even say the penitential rite, right? So do not feel like, okay, I haven't gone to confession today, I shouldn't receive the Eucharist. Don't let that ever be a thought in your mind, because there's most likely that's not true for you. We have to be very careful about not receiving the Eucharist because we're called to receive it. This is my bread, my daily bread, right? So let's receive it daily as much as possible. All right, our second question. What makes a good confession? What makes a good confession always starts with our preparation. It always starts with, have we prepared for this confession? We have probably some sins maybe that we say every confession. That's okay, that's good. Those are the things we're working on. But what's standing out about this last maybe week? What's standing out about this last 2 weeks, about this last month? What's standing out that I need to make sure I say because this has been weighing heavy on me, right? So let's really pay attention to this particular confession every time and not just walk in and say, well, this is always my list, Father, this is always the things I confess, so here it is. Because then we're not really engaging in the process of preparing, and that's really what makes it a really good confession, because in the preparation, we feel that contriteness. We feel that oh, I am sorry for that. Oh, I cannot believe I forgot that I snapped at my wife. I'm so sorry. I forgot that I yelled at my children that day. Oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't do my homework in the proper time, right? Whatever it may be, that we remember those things, because what we're hoping for at the end of that confession is that we have a new lease on life. We have that new grace to begin again and to go into the world and say, I'm going to live as a saint. Okay, number 3 on this new list. What if I haven't been in many years? First off, welcome back. That would be the first thing. I always like to say that whenever someone walks in, because it's true. If you haven't come in to confession in a long time, what courage and what grace is working through you that now you've come back. And that's an incredible gift that you've been given to now come back. At the same time, a lot of people can go a long time without going to confession. So don't feel like you're the only one. Don't feel like it's something unique to yourself. Don't feel shame, especially. Please don't feel shame. Think of the amount of grace you're going to receive by being able to go in that room for the first time and hear those great words, I absolve you, right? Because those are the words we're looking for. We're looking for that mercy, and that's what we're offering you in the church. We're not offering you someone to judge you. We're not offering you this particular moment where you get to get scrutinized. That's exactly the opposite. We're offering you a moment to say, here is God, come encounter His mercy and His forgiveness. All right, question 4. Why is now a good time for confession? Well, first off, why is this a good time for confession? It's because we're about to have the Light is On. And the Light is On is a unique time where every parish around the diocese is going to be offering confession. And so what that means, for those who always can sometimes feel embarrassed, that's fine, I get it, I understand. You can choose a church. Choose a church, look up their hours for the Light is On and say, that's when I'm going to go to that church, right? I know there are some parishes, I'm going to mention one in particular because I know they do a giant service every time. It's St. Aid's Capel. When they do one, what happens is they bring in parish priests from all over the diocese and religious priests from Cistercian, and they'll all hear confessions. And what that allows you to do is you can keep your anonymity. Even though you might be going to a parish that's your own parish, that's okay. That priest does not know your face. He doesn't know your voice, and you can easily walk in and say your confessions to someone who you might not see again. Now, that being said, we don't want to hide ourselves. We don't want to hide our confession. And the reason why we always ask you to go to your parish priest is because that way you can build a relationship with him. He can journey with you through these sins. But this is a great time to go to confession because every parish is going to be offering it for you during these next 2 weeks and allowing you an opportunity before Easter to encounter that mercy so that on Easter Sunday we can all receive the Eucharist together as one community and so grow closer to Christ in that moment. This has been Father Mark Garrett answering your frequently asked questions on confession.